We always assumed that the end of the world would be loud. An alien invasion, a meteor, a nuke, an alarm going off somewhere telling you to panic. Nobody considered that it might be quiet, that it might be slow, that it might look, for all intents and purposes, like nothing at all. And that the very thing that might end us is something that we've already adapted to in our everyday lives. Vita Carnis has been studied, documented, observed. Scientists have cataloged these creatures. Governments have issued reports. The public has been told, don't worry. They even released a documentary saying that we have everything under control and how to deal with these threats. But here's what nobody is saying out loud. It was never under control because Vita Carnis isn't a species. It isn't a disease. These creatures come from Earth, so it isn't an invasion in the regular sense that we know. It is a complete, self-sustaining, self-expanding ecosystem, and it has been quietly replacing ours. Every creature in this world has a role, a function, a purpose. And when you lay those roles out side by side, when you stop looking at each creature in isolation and start looking at what they do together as one machine, what you're looking at isn't just a collection of dangerous monsters. It's something much deeper. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how each flesh monster in Vita Carnis plays a role in bringing the extinction to humanity. I'll also bring up the secret monster, the ape monster in the Vita Carnis world that no one is talked about or discusses very little, and how they play a role in the flesh apocalypse. Because you're looking at a war machine, one with no general, no strategy room, no chain of command, and yet somehow it is perfectly designed to end us. And it all starts with the main foundation, which is something that is already underneath your feet. In any war, the side that controls the supply line wins. Food, weapons, reinforcements. If you can move resources faster than your enemy, you win. If you can cut off their resources, they collapse. Every military strategist in recorded history has understood this, and unfortunately, Vita Carnis understood it too. The crawl is a logistics network, the supply line, and the factory all in one. It doesn't fight, it doesn't hunt, it doesn't need to. It's endless, because what it does is that it converts terrain. Every inch of ground the crawl covers becomes enemy territory. Forests, fields, buildings, the outskirts of cities, all of it slowly becoming a platform that can birth new creatures, new threats, new wave of everything that comes after it. And here's the part that makes the crawl impossible to fight. It feeds on corpses, including the humans it kills. Every person who dies in Vita Carnis territory gets recycled. Their biomass is absorbed, converted, used to grow more crawl. So that means more creatures, more war machines. The crawl is the very foundation of the Vita Carnis. Every soldier humanity loses in this war will become fuel for the next wave that the crawl can use. You cannot starve it out. Bombing it is ineffective at scale because it spreads underground. Burning it buys time, but not victory. Because you see, as long as the crawl exists, Vita Carnis never runs out of resources. It is a self-replenishing war economic system that grows faster the more it kills. You can make the argument that it is low-key the most dangerous creature on this list, underratedly so. A supply line, it needs soldiers. And the very first ones were already inside your city before the war even started. Some of them were already living in your homes. You didn't see them coming because they didn't look like soldiers. They look like something you find in a dumpster. And that brings up the next creature in the Vita Carnis list, the Trimmings. They're small, wrinkly, kind of ugly, not gonna lie to you. They dig through garbage and scream at night, like huskies. And somehow, the internet decided they were cute. Within a few years of contact, they were tutorials on how to take care of them. Pet guys, social media accounts, people bringing them inside, feeding them table scraps, letting them sleep in cardboard boxes in the living room. In a war context, the Trimmings are absolutely terrifying because they are essentially the reconnaissance unit that humanity never thought to neutralize. Their hive mind information sharing means that when one colony observes something, they all know. So they can map human settlements, patrol routes, food stores, population density, all without ever raising an alarm, all while sitting in your living room looking like a weird little pet. And their contribution to the extinction of humanity is subtle, but it's critical. They are the scouts because they destroy the very concept of a safe zone. No city, no bunker, no settlement can be fully trusted if Trimmings have already been inside of it. And they have been inside almost everywhere. The scouts were deployed before anyone knew there was a war. The intelligence was already being gathered before humanity even knew it was being watched. So the crawl is spreading, the scouts, the trimmings are in position. Now the battlefield needs to be locked down. And Vita Carnis has something for that too. What comes next doesn't chase you. It doesn't hunt you. It just waits underground, completely invisible, until you take the wrong step. And by the time you realize it's what's happening, it's already too late. You can't move. You can't scream. And you have about 60 seconds left before your life is over. The Harvester is one of the most tactically terrifying creatures in this entire ecosystem, and it's the one I fear the most because it's rooted to the crawl. It's stationary, completely invisible, underground, and armed with a 2-toxin system that is, for all practical purposes, a perfect weapon. The moment you step on one of its tendrils, which can extend up to 500 feet in every direction, that's 5 football fields, 2 things happen at the exact same time. First, a spine injects a neurotoxin that causes instant paralysis. So you can't move, you can't scream, you can't call for help or fight back or do anything at all. Second, another spine injects an anticoagulant that makes you bleed out fast. No chance of clotting, no chance of recovery, and then the Harvester pulls you under. It has a 100% fatality rate. It kills you every time. Now imagine the crawl spreading into forests, fields, and the outskirts of cities, and as it spread, it plants harvesters. Suddenly, every wooded area becomes a death trap. Every rural escape route is gone. Every attempt to flank or retreat through natural terrain ends the same way. Soldiers cannot advance through forces. Civilians cannot flee through the field. Supply convoys cannot use back roads. They reshape the battlefield by making the entire zones impassable. Humanity doesn't lose ground because it gets pushed back. It loses ground because it can no longer move forward. The foundation is laid, the scouts are embedded, and the terrain is locked down by the harvesters. That's the infrastructure layer of the Vita Carnis war machine, and we haven't even gotten to the part that makes it personal yet. If you want to see how regular civilians experience all this from the ground level, outside of just a military level with no clearance, no training, and no idea what's actually going on, please continue watching this video because this is going to hit you in a way that no other video has really explained it to you before. Everything that I mentioned before kills your body. The crawl recycles it, the Harper paralyzes it, and the trimmings, they watch it. But a war isn't just won by killing people. It's won by breaking the systems people use to fight back. The communication, the trust, the chain of command, the ability to look at the person next to you and know they're still on your side. What comes next doesn't just kill soldiers. It makes soldiers into weapons against each other. And it does it so slowly that nobody notices until it's already done. Bam, the host of influences, baby. The Imperium Carnis is arguably the most strategically devastating creature in this entire ecosystem. Not because of what it does to your body, but because of what it does to your mind. And because of how long it takes. Here's the infection timeline. You inhale the spores, you feel nothing for hours, you are completely normal, you go back to your unit, you sit in the command center, you handle the food supply, you talk to the people around you, you have no idea anything is wrong. Then it starts. Restlessness, sluggish movement, numb joints, poor coordination, then dizziness, migraines, impaired speech. You probably think that you're on the verge of having a stroke. And then finally, the last stage. You are compelled to walk in the very direction that the host is currently positioned and expose your own organs. In a military context, this is a biological weapon with a delayed fuse. A host of influence position upwind of a military base or a refugee camp or a city can infect thousands before anyone realizes what's happening. And by the time symptoms appear, the infected are already compromised. They become unreliable, dangerous to everyone around them, and ultimately walking towards their very own death. But the real damage isn't the death toll, it's the trust collapse. There's no way to know if someone's been infected. No human military doctrine has a protocol for a weapon that makes your own people undetectable threats. The host of influence doesn't just kill, it destroys unit cohesion from the inside. It turns every person around you into a question mark until eventually you start to question who you can trust and who you can't. The host needs you to come to it. It's patient, it waits, it relies on the spores doing their job before you ever see it. But the next creature doesn't wait. It already knows your voice, your schedule, which room you sleep in, and most people will argue it's probably the most terrifying one. Like I said, I'm more afraid of the harvest, but this one is truly terrifying. And it has been inside your building for 3 days. Maybe even inside your own furniture. The Mimic. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the Latin word. And it's funny because I took Latin. However, the mimic is a purpose built to hunt humans. Here's what one looks like. Skin stretched, too tall, too thin, mouth pulled into a wide smile full of sharp teeth. Long fingers, moves wrong. They are patient in a way most predators aren't. They watch you for days. They learn your schedule. They figure out when you're most vulnerable. And then they wait inside your furniture. In a war, mimics function as a distributed assassination network. They don't attack armies head on. They pick off individuals. They eliminate leaders, scouts, and isolated units with no warning and no traceable pattern. And the psychological damage compounds way too fast. Soldiers who are sleep deprived, paranoid, and afraid to be alone make mistakes. Mimics manufacture that state of mind deliberately. But here's the thing. And here's where Vita Carnis and where the mimics get wicked. Because mimics are just a standard unit. You can say that they're mostly used to wipe out the everyday person. However, elder mimics are the end game. At 40 to 7 kilometers per hour, an elder mimic is faster than any human can react to without preparation. Their durability makes conventional small armies unreliable. They can tear through a fortified position. They can kill the command staff before a response can be organized. They can survive engagement that would destroy anything else in the ecosystem. When humans build walls, the elder mimics can just go through them. When humans organize a defense line, the elder mimics can just break it. They are the answer to humanity's best defenses. They operate in a world where the host of influence has already destroyed the trust needed to coordinate those defenses in the first place. The psychological layer is collapsing. The command structure is compromised. The foundation is laid. The safe zones are gone. The forests, all the terrains, taken away. Now, Vita Carnis decides not to just hunt everyday people, but also destroy armies. Everything covered so far operates at the human scale. But there's a point in this war where Vita Carnis stops operating at a human scale entirely. Where it stops targeting soldiers, it starts targeting the technology that makes modern militaries possible. And it does it with a single sound. The monoliths, baby! The colon carnets are not just creatures in any conventional sense. At 120 meters tall, taller than a 40-story building, they are living superweapons, and their most devastating ability in a war context isn't their size or their regenerative abilities or their physical powers. It's the roar! A single monolith emitting its EMP roar disables all electronics in range. Communications, vehicles, aircrafts, weapon systems, medical equipment, all of that stuff in one moment. A modern military's force is reduced to the technological level of the pre-industrial era. That means no drones, no radios, no guided missiles, no tanks, no nukes, just flesh against flesh, which exactly where Vita Carnis wants humanity. 7 monoliths spread strategically can simultaneously neutralize the military infrastructure of entire continents. And after the EMP, after every technological advantage humanity has built its entire military dominance on, becomes absolutely useless. The monolith's massive physical power makes them nearly impossible to engage without the very technology they destroyed. The monoliths don't just win battles, they end the era of human technological supremacy in a single coordinated action. And that word coordinated is the one that should scare you the most, because nothing we've covered so far is random. The crawl spreads where it needs to. The host positions upwind of population centers. The monoliths activate together. The mimics hunt the right targets. The elder mimics destroy armies. This isn't an ecosystem running on instinct. Something is directing it. There are people, human beings with names, with positions, with powers, who figured out that a long time ago. And instead of telling you, they made a deal. You think that if someone in power knew all this was coming, knew the full picture, the full scope, they would have a full plan, and they would have done something about it. And here's the messed up thing. Some of them did know, but they didn't do something about it. They did something much worse. And this is the secret monster, the real monster I was talking about at the start of the video, and that is humanity itself. More specifically, the cult. Embedded inside governments, inside military structures, inside the very institutions that are supposed to protect us. They aren't fringe extremists operating out of basements. They are people with clearance, with rank, with access to the reports that never reach the public, giving out misguided information to the public on how to survive encounters with these creatures. They have seen the crawl spread. They have watched the mimics hunt. They have stood in the shadows of the monoliths. Pet guides that made trimming seem harmless. Emergency broadcasts full of contradictions. Cooking shows that normalizing eating crawl. Ew, that's disgusting. Every piece of information the public received about Vita Carnis was filtered through people who had already decided which side they were on before this whole thing even started. And they're not on the side of humanity. The cult has been working towards something specific, a ritual, a gathering. And if that ritual is completed, the people who have studied this longest believe it may be the last thing humanity ever witnesses. They didn't stumble into this. They chose it deliberately, with full knowledge of what Vita Carnis is capable of. The question is, what did they see that led them to choose it? What is so powerful, so inevitable, so impossible to fight that the people with the most information decided to just join it? The answer is on an island in the middle of Hudson Bay. The cult didn't just open the door. They were protecting something specific, something that sits at the center of all of this, something so powerful it has been directing every creature, every spread, every coordinated move in this entire war machine. And once you understand what it actually is, the whole thing clicks into place in the most terrifyingly way possible. It's called the Singularity. Virm Cartis, a small floating black sphere, quiet, patient, and implied to be in true intelligence, directing the entire Vita Carnis network. This is the reason the war machine isn't random. The crawl spreads where the Singularity needs it. The host positions upwind of the right population centers. The monoliths activate together, not independently. The mimics hunt the targets that matter the most. Every role, every creature, every function we've covered in this video, coordinated by something that has been thinking about this for longer than any of us has probably been alive. Destroy the Singularity and perhaps the network collapses. But here's the problem. The Singularity is surrounded by 720-meter monoliths on an island, protected by the most powerful creatures in the entire ecosystem. And the harvesters have been forming a protective ring around that island for years, moving outward, slowly clearing everything in their path, making the approach a death trap before you even get close. And the cults, the people inside your government, inside your military, have been making sure that nobody gets close enough to try. Reaching the Singularity, for all practical purposes, is impossible. But that's not even the darkest part. The darkest part is what the Singularity has been actually building towards. We've talked about the crawl recycling the dead, the harvesters locking down terrain, the hosts are destroying trust, the mimics are eliminating leadership and humanity, and the monoliths ending modern day technology. Each one of those things on its own is devastating, but they're not separate events. They're just stages. And when you line them up in order, when you see what each stage actually sets up for the next one, what you're looking at isn't just a war. It's a sequence, a process, something with a beginning, a middle, and an end that humanity has no plan for. Here's the sequence laid out super clean. Stage 1, the crawl spreads globally, converting terrain, recycling the dead, building the very foundation for everything that follows. So essentially, humanity loses ground without realizing it's already a war. Stage 2, the trimming maps every human settlement from the inside. By the time anyone realizes what they're doing, the intelligence has already been gathered. There are no safe zones left. Stage 3, the harvesters lock down the terrain. Escape routes close. Retreat becomes impossible. Humanity is boxed in with nowhere to escape. Stage 4, the host of influence destroy trust and command structure from the inside. Units collapse. Leadership becomes unreliable. The ability to coordinate a response degrades before the response can even be organized. Stage 5, the mimics and elder mimics eliminate what's left. Leaders, scouts, isolated units, anyone trying to organize resistance gets hunted down by something that's already known their voice. Not only do they attack the everyday human with regular mimics, but they attack armies with elder mimics. Stage 6, the monoliths activate. Every technological advantage humanity has disappears in a single coordinated roar, an EMP attack. Modern militaries become pre-industrial, and the monoliths, immune to the technology they just destroyed, finished what the rest of the ecosystem started. And behind all of it, directing every stage, timing every move, protected by the most powerful creatures in this ecosystem and the humans who choose to serve it. The Singularity completes its ritual. One thing that I want to interject real quick, I forgot to add this into my original script, so I'm just going to do it here. The meat snakes, who are probably the most useless creatures. However, an elder meat snake, I believe they play a huge role. Because of the size of the meat snakes and how big they can get, I believe that they will eventually be used to block off the highways that were originally created for military travel within the United States. If you block off the highways, then the military has no way of formulating or getting any type of cargo or any type of supplies to their units whatsoever. And not only do they block off the highways, I believe that they block off the tunnel system as well, which would have probably been a decent alternative for any military system located in any country. But that's my view on how I believe that the meat snakes would play a role in the destruction of humanity. There is no stage 7 for humanity. The war machine doesn't have a surrender condition. It doesn't take prisoners. It doesn't negotiate. It just converts, recycles, and expands. And the people who were supposed to stop it decided at some point that stopping it was impossible. So they made sure that nobody else could try. The scariest thing about Vita Carnis isn't any single creature. It's not the harvester with his 100% kill rate. It's not the elder mimic going through your walls and tearing you to pieces. It's not even the monolith turning your military into nothing with a single sound. It's the fact that this war was over before it even started. That the war machine was already running before anyone even declared war. The crawl was already spreading. The trimming were already inside. The cult was already in position. The singularity was already coordinating. And the question that nobody in power seems to want to answer, the question that the cult has been working very hard to make sure that you never even think to ask, is whether any of this could actually be stopped. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a really good time making it. I really love this series. How do you think each creature serves a role in the end of humanity? Please comment below. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.